Hi, everyone, and welcome to Dementia Chats. Once again, we are gathered to hear from our experts living with dementia. I'm Lori LeBay, the founder of Alzheimer's Speaks, and my background is my mom had dementia for 30 years, and she taught me the importance of really listening to the insights of people with dementia, and that's why I started this platform. Today, we are going to have a conversation about laughter and humor and how that affects people with dementia, and I think you're going to find it really, really fascinating. But before we get started, I'm going to have everybody go ahead and introduce themselves. And Harry, I'm going to go ahead and start with you.
Thank you. So glad to be here. My name's Harry Urban. I'm the founder of Forget Me Not, a Facebook dementia support group. I live in Pennsylvania, and I was diagnosed with dementia, the Alzheimer's type, 13 years ago. And for the past 13 years, I've been advocating for a better quality of life for us living with this disease.
Wonderful. Thanks, Harry. Brian, you want to introduce yourself, please?
Sure. I'm Brian LeBlanc. I'm 56. I was diagnosed with Alzheimer's disease in 2014, and now I'm an international dementia advocate where I just talk to anybody, conferences, small groups, big groups that share awareness and education about everything dementia related.
Great, thank you. True, do you want to unmute yourself and introduce yourself?
Full legal name is Truthful Loving Kindness. My current diagnosis is mild cognitive impairment. I have mild to moderate cerebrovascular disease, Lewy body symptoms. I blog, and I'm assistant administrator for Dementia Mentors and advisory council for Dementia Action Alliance.
Great, thank you. Michael?
My name is Michael Ellenbogen. I am living with Alzheimer's disease. I'm an international dementia advocate and connector with a one-of-a-kind LinkedIn dementia network.
Great. And Eilon?
Hi, my name is Eilon Caspi. Both of my grandmothers had dementia. I'm a gerontologist and dementia behavior specialist here in Minneapolis. I'm here to learn from your lived experience and share what I learned along the way. 23 years ago, I started as a nurse aide in a nursing home where my grandfather lived. So I'm always thrilled to be here.
Great. And I'm going to start this off a little bit different. The topic today was actually a topic that Eilon had thrown out. So Eilon, I'm going to just throw it to you first. If you want to set up kind of your thoughts and what you'd like to learn regarding humor and laughter from our experts.
Sure. I remember when I conducted a study in Massachusetts about 15 years ago, and one of the residents with early stage Alzheimer's disease said one day, humor is the only prescription that never fails. And I think it kind of stayed with me. And then, of course, I've seen so many interactions where people with dementia benefit so much from joy in the moment, for various reasons. Joy in the moment, laughter, and I think that it may tap into the ability to experience emotions that remains until later stages of the disease in many people with dementia. And I think, there's a program in Massachusetts that is advocated by the Alzheimer's Association. It's called Habilitation Model. And the goal of Habilitation Model, it's a comprehensive model that is training for staff members in 5 states in the East Coast. The goal of caring for people with dementia, they say, is to bring about and maintain positive emotions during the day, evening, and night. And I also just want to mention real quick the book of Dr. Kathy Greenblatt, who wrote the book Love, Loss, and Laughter. She traveled to 7 countries and took pictures of positive experiences of people with dementia. Beautiful, inspiring book. And on the front of the book, can show it here. There's a picture of a session that is called laughter yoga. And I think it speaks for itself. The joy in the moment doesn't require comprehension of words or writing, etc. It's simple joy in the moment and the affection and the warmth with another human being. So I think that would be my little overview.
Okay. Great. Yeah, I love the prescription line, you know, that humor is really the only prescription that doesn't fail, because I think it is something that's core with most everybody. Everybody likes to laugh, and sometimes in the face of illness, a lot of times that's the first thing to go, because everybody gets really serious, you know, and takes on their list of things to do, and yet laughter just, you know, it just makes us, I think, calm down and feel centered and connected to one another. So I'm going to go and start off and throw this to Brian. And if you want to just talk about your perspectives of humor and laughter, because I think they're separate.
Yeah, it is. You can. Okay, I'll start out with this. I've always laughed at myself because it makes it a lot easier than crying all the time. But this was a few months after I was diagnosed, and my wife and I were watching a movie. And whenever I tell this story, I can never, ever remember the name of the movie. So, but we're watching it, and I was laughing. And I felt, you know how you can feel somebody staring at you. So I turned and I looked, and my wife was just staring at me. I said, "What?" She says, "Do you not remember seeing this movie like 2 months ago?" And I said, "No." I said, "It is so funny." I said, "But the beauty of me is you can take this same DVD, wrap it up like a present, give it to me for my birthday, and I won't know the difference. Then you can turn around and give it to me for Christmas too."
That's great.
But wow, that got a laugh out of Michael. I'm good now.
Great.
But you know, it's things like that you know, humor, if done the right way. Okay, I think we talked about you know, you can laugh at yourself and you can laugh at things that are funny, but you don't laugh when the humor is directed towards someone making fun of. Because you know, I was recently in a situation where that was the case, and other people didn't realize what was happening, but I did. And the person that they were making fun of did, but he was a good sport and he, you know, went along with it. But, you know, you can always find, it's kind of like, you know, every cloud has a silver lining. Well, every event in life, you can always find humor, you know, in it. You know, I can remember when my father passed away, you know, we were standing there, and we were, his favorite piece of music was the 1812 Overture. And I thought that it would be a nice tribute to him to play the 1812 Overture at the end of the ceremony. But when I started playing it, I didn't remember this. When he used to use that song, especially with the cannons going and so forth, to wake us up in the morning, which we absolutely hated. But now we found that was very, very funny. So we're standing there at his gravesite, just cracking up, listening to this song. And I thought, you know, he would appreciate this. You know, he really would. So, and we weren't making fun, but we were just trying. It's a self-therapeutic. I can't think of the word, but I can just say it's self-therapeutic to laugh and to incorporate laughter and humor into everyday life. Because if you go through life thinking, you know, going through what we're going through, it can be a very dire time, and it gets kind of dark, and I don't like going into the darkness, so I go into the light. So
Good. Great. Thank you. True?
I also think that something in our emotions reaches that point, and there's the tip over. You can either laugh or you're going to cry. And it's a really close tip point, just like they say, what is it, love and hate can be a tip point. I don't know about that one, but I do think that laughter and tears are very close together. Like one day in the kitchen, I've got the pitcher under the faucet, trying to fill my pitcher with water. And it fills up. Water is running behind the sink, onto the floor, behind the cabinets. I'm frantically trying to get the pitcher out from under the faucet. And I got it out, and I remembered this has happened over and over again just this week. That I forget I can turn it off. I can turn off the faucet. My mind is very busy. It's very busy trying to figure out how I can get that pitcher out. But it's busy on the wrong things. And I just started laughing. But it's again that tip point. Laugh or cry. This had happened over and over again just that week. And it still happens a lot.
Okay.
Or like shaking my protein drink. I'll leave the lid off because I don't want powder in the lid. And I do it over and over again. I've done this for like 3 years now. So protein ends up all over everything. Of course, you know, on the cabinets, on the floor, on the stove. It's all over everything. And I do it over and over again. And
so you can turn that into an infomercial and say, protein, it's not just for drinking.
Oh gosh. Well, I think that's good when you're talking about the line, you know, of emotions, because emotions do run really close together. And, you know, I just think of even, and I'll just throw out some of the political situations and the satire at night. You know, you can laugh or you can cry over where we are as a nation and what is going on. And I think it's, you know, it's a choice, you know, that we have to make. I also think with laughter and in humor, I think there's a difference too, and I want to see if you guys think that there's a difference between, let's say, being self-deprecating, you know, making fun of yourself versus making fun of someone else, or, you know, and then there's those situations where someone's making fun of someone else, but it's almost a bullying type thing. It's really to make them feel better. And if there's not the understanding of the group that this is your relationship, you tease one another, then it's not so funny. Or if you don't know that, I think then there can really be a line of, you know, where people are upset and confused as to why are people laughing at that? This isn't funny. Even in a structured comedy show, you know, if with dementia, if you've forgotten that this is their job to make fun of, you know, situations or people or whatever, it may not be funny. And Brian, offline, you had kind of mentioned that as well. Do you see that you interpret humor or laughter differently now?
Oh yeah, you know, before, well, yeah, you know, when it's personal, you know, and I laugh, you know, I laugh quite frequently because I get a lot of humor that other people might say, oh, well, that wasn't funny. I said, well, yeah, it was. It was hilarious because my wife is a very funny person, but you would never know it because she doesn't show that side of herself to a lot of people. But to me, I mean, she cracks me up with some of the things that she says.
Mm-hmm.
But when it's I guess when it's directed and more like making fun of, not having fun with, because there's a line. But when you're making fun of, and you can tell by the crowd, the audience reaction, that if they feel like they're making fun of someone, they won't laugh, or they'll let out a groan or something like that. And then the comedian will try to turn the tables a little bit and try to make it funny and say they weren't really trying to make fun of this person. But there again, they kind of were. So I kind of take issue with that now more than ever, because of the fact that and it may be a little bit one-sided, but we can make fun of ourselves, but I don't want you making fun of me. You can laugh with me and you can laugh at stories with me, but don't make fun of me just because I have this disease, and don't use me as a laughing post. And I guess that, I don't know if that makes sense, but
yes,
what I mean.
it's great.
Yeah. Harry, what are your thoughts?
I think people use humor a lot of times to hide their pain. Now, the first person that comes to my mind is Robin Williams. He was probably one of the funniest comedians ever around, but he lived in the shadows of his pains through his humor. And I think if you look at the people that live well with dementia, it's because they have a positive attitude. It's not the medication they're on, it's not the treatment they're on, it's the positive attitude. And I think humor plays a big part of having a positive attitude. But I also think humor can be a crutch that we use to hide the pain. I do it all the time. When I am hurting, I make somebody laugh. Okay? And that way I'm escaping this horrible life that nobody knows about. So oftentimes we use humor like that. I mean, humor to me is a very serious subject, because nobody knows what humor is anymore, because it has changed so much over the years. When I was growing up, humor is nothing like it is today, because when you look at the things that made us laugh when we were growing up, that's not what we laugh about today. I mean, humor today, in my view, is obscene. You have to be obscene to make somebody laugh. And that's not what I think humor should be if you want to have a positive attitude.
Okay. And I think that that's an interesting point, how much humor has changed. I mean, you think back in the days of, Jerry Lewis and Lucille Ball and all of those. I mean, it was clean. The whole family could get the humor. And now it's like, get out of the room. I didn't know they were going to say that, type thing. Harry?
If you look at humor of yesterday, people made you laugh without saying anything.
Mm-hmm.
No words have to be said, and you laugh. That's why if you look at the silent movies, we all laughed at them.
Mhm.
And not a word was said. Now, most of the time when a comedian, a stand-up comedian comes on, I can't follow them. I mean, they talk too fast, and I mean, times have changed.
Yeah.
Well, that's an interesting point that Michael brought in the pre-session, that sometimes it has challenges understanding jokes. But maybe, Michael, we haven't heard from you, I think, but also your views about the role of humor and laughter in your life.
Yeah. Before we go there, though, Brian had a comment I want to
Oh,
get to before he forgets, if that's okay, Michael.
See, you made a joke right there.
Well, no, because I know I would if I didn't write it down. So
what Harry was saying about things that are funny without speaking, and I know I'm dating, but that's okay because I think everybody will understand. Red Skelton, you know, when Red Skelton did his pantomimes, he didn't have to say a word, just his facial expression and his actions, tripping and falling, and not a word was spoken, and people just falling out of their chairs laughing. It was just hilarious in the way that he did things. And then one other thing, as far as sight gags and so forth, in the movie Mary Poppins, where they sing and they're in the bank, they sing the song "I Love to Laugh," and you know they're all floating and all this kind of stuff. It's the sight and sometimes the sound, but the sights. I really believe that, Harry, is that the sight is what makes a lot of people laugh, and maybe the vocabulary could be secondary. So
it's a great point.
yeah, to add on to that, I think those comedians got the importance of our nonverbal communications, and they honed those skills, which I think is missing a lot in our dementia communication. People are so used to the words that they're not looking at all the nonverbals, which is over 3/4 of our communication. And so I think that that's a really important factor for people to figure in. Michael, what are your thoughts?
Well, first of all, I also laugh at myself when I do something wrong. I think I find it easier to do that than to beat myself up for why I do something that I feel is not right. I would have never done that before I had the dementia. But I mean, you just have to do that anymore. Otherwise, unfortunately, you end up becoming depressed and everything else. And I think it's just a better way to tackle things. Now, I'm a person that used to like to watch a lot of humor and laugh and everything. And laughing is really good for you. It really does make you feel good. The sad part is, I don't think I do that anymore because I just don't get it. I mean, I listen to a lot of jokes now, and I look at them, and they just go right over my head. Makes no sense to me. When people joke with me in person, sometimes I take it the wrong way because I think that they might be laughing at me, or I just don't get it. So that's really become a real problem for me. I don't think there's a way I can change that. And it kind of stinks because I used to like to watch, like the late night shows and things like that. And I do still watch them, but a lot of that stuff I just don't get. And, I remember I used to watch those things, and I'd be floored for the first 10, 15 minutes of the monologues where I'd be laughing nonstop. And it really does make you feel good to laugh, but I just don't have that anymore. I might laugh at one or two jokes now rather than everything that goes on. So, and that's part of the things that happens when you're talking at parties and you have people getting together. You kind of feel awkward there because you're like the only oddball there in the group that's not laughing or smiling, and you see everybody else around you laughing, and it's like, why the hell are you laughing? I didn't get that. So it kind of makes you feel a little bit like the weird one.
So let me ask you this, Michael. Does that not being able to laugh because you don't get it. It sounds like it's something that you miss being able to do, you know, because you feel it makes you different in the group. But do you notice, and maybe you I probably haven't given any thought to this, but do you notice a physical change in your body from not laughing?
Yeah, I think so, because I remember when I used to laugh, I really used to feel really good. And, you know, when I no longer do that, I'm sure that there's things in my body that don't trigger anymore because of it. And I don't have those same good feelings. And again, I don't know what it triggers in your body, but I think it does trigger some kind of hormones or something when you do laugh. But yeah, there's no doubt about it. I mean, you know, I mean, I wish I could, but what are you going to do?
So maybe maybe for that, and True, I'll get to you in a second, but maybe for that is to do the purposeful laughter, like the laughter yoga, you know, to get those hormones and stuff going in your body, which I know to me it wouldn't be the same. And I'm seeing your facial expression going, nah, you know, that's different to sit there and go, ha, 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 ha. You know, but I've been in groups when they purposely do that. And then pretty soon you are laughing. I mean, truly laughing. It's not a forced laugh. And you can feel the difference in your body. So maybe something like that is worth a try to see if it can shift you. Because even like last night, I remember I was working really hard, and like you, I watched late night TV last night, and I was cutting the guts. And I actually, my kids came up from the other floor, and it was late at night going, what is so funny? And I'm like, and it felt so good. And my daughter's like, okay, I'm gonna go turn it on, because she's like, you are so loud up there, but I couldn't help it, you know. And it does feel good. And you know, listening to you guys talk, I just think, oh gosh, I would just miss that so much. I'm gonna go to True first, and then to Eilon.
I tried to write it down and I lost it.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. If it comes back, let me know. Eilon?
So I'm just flipping through the book of Dr. Kathy Greenblatt, and I just came across a picture of Richard Taylor. We all know Richard Taylor and what he did for people with dementia in this world, who passed away recently. And there's a picture here of him kind of putting his hand on his cheek, and he's smiling. And at the bottom, I now noticed, I didn't remember that. It says, it's a quote of Richard. It says, I have a large vocabulary, a loud voice, and a Ph.D. A great combination if one is trying to hide one's early onset Alzheimer's disease. It's interesting. I thought it was interesting. Anyways.
True?
I think that's one reason that I have less of a tendency to be in public, is because people try to make you laugh and I don't think it's funny. So then what am I supposed to do? I don't like faking things. I can kind of chuckle or, you know, whatever, and it's just really uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. And I have gone to those belly laugh type things, and truthfully, for me, it's very depressing. It accentuates the fact that I don't think things are funny that other people think are funny. Once in a while, somebody will start just belly laughing, and it'll trigger everyone belly laughing. And for me, that can be very funny, and I will laugh along with it. But that's different. It's a different atmosphere. It's a different, the whole thing is different than being somewhere specifically to make people laugh and doesn't work. It's very depressing. I don't laugh very much. I don't find most comedies funny. I don't find a lot of things funny, even that I used to. But I find my animals funny. I'll find that you'll see me out there in the field just laughing my head off and realizing this is that belly laugh. My belly's going in and out, ha, 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 you know, and I can feel it. Well, and even just doing that, I remember a exercise, a theater exercise, where you go, ha, 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 and you push that up really forcefully, quickly. And it creates, I think, a lot of that same chemicals. But I do it a lot out in the field with the animals. And I saw Harry's hand up.
I think that's why our memory cafes are so successful. Our memory cafes are not geared to be a support group, people speaking. Our memory cafes are designed to be a place to go to laugh and enjoy yourself. And I can assure you, now I go to several memory cafes a week, and I can assure you every single one of them, when the people leave, they leave with a smile on their face. They leave with a good feeling in the heart. Now, to me, that's what humor is, and that's what laughing is. It's not standing up in front of a crowd and something funny. It's being a group of people and simple things come up that make you smile. That's laughter.
I'm glad you brought up the memory cafe, because I know in the ones that I work with, I mean, I come out, my cheeks are sore. And there are so many one-liners that, you know, between couples and then between friends that go back and forth. And I mean, sometimes we can't stop laughing. I mean, it was just like, they're so punchy and so good, and so authentic, you know, and there's no harm. And I guess I haven't seen it either where somebody in the group doesn't get it or feels uncomfortable, or maybe even if they don't get it, they just know it's a safe group to laugh and be part of. They really are a true joy.
Yeah. I want to add something in. Yeah. So I want to add kind of the perspective of later stages, if I may. Because I've done research also with people with dementia in mid to late stages, including people with, you know, the mini mental state examination, one of the cognitive screening evaluations. One resident was with mini mental 0, but she was perfectly capable. She was still ambulatory. She was still independently walking. She needed help with some, you know, with bathing, etc. But when she was with toddlers, when they brought into the special care unit, I don't like that name, but the dementia, you know, the care home for people with dementia, they brought the 6 to 8 toddlers. And there was a group of mostly women, because that's what happens in most long-term care homes. When the group of 6 to 8 toddlers came to the center of the beautiful room with toys, I'm telling you, I've never seen so many smiles, laughs, hugs, dancing, and joy in the moment. The instinct of the mother comes out. There were a few men there that also loved it. It's not for everyone, but if you could prescribe something, you know, it was obvious to me that people with late stage dementia, many of them are still capable of having a joy in the moment. And this is also, there's research that shows that too. So I think that it helps to maybe change some of the misconceptions out there. That once the person is in late stages, they're not capable of experiencing joy, and it's not the case in many people.
You know, I would love to just give an example quick of my mom in very late stages where she was actually in hospice. She didn't really talk much. But, I think that sense of humor, if somebody has it, it does stay with them till the very end. And I walked into my mom's room in the nursing home one day, and she she was behind a curtain because she was in a nursing home which divided the two beds. And she was by the window, or in the bed by the window. And the sun was coming through, and I could just see through the curtain that she was laying in her bed. Now, you have to visualize that my mom's like 5'2", 300 pounds. And so there was just kind of this bubble, you know, of her tummy I could see. And I walked around that curtain, and what I saw was my mom basking in the sun like Garfield the cat, except her pants were pulled down to her crotch and her shirt was tucked underneath her boobs. And so all that was exposed was this big, beautiful belly. And she was just laying there with this huge smile on her face. And I turned around the curtain, and I saw her, and out of my mouth, for whatever reason, I said to my mom, "Oh, Mom, do I have to pull out that bikini for you?" And out of a dead sleep, my mom opened her eyes, she giggled, and she looked me square in the face, and she said, "Oh, Lori, I don't think I should be wearing a bikini." And then she giggled again, and she went back to sleep. And it touched me in so many ways. One, that there was that sense of humor, but two, my mom had not said my name in like 3 years. And she just gave me this beautiful gift of her humor and knowing that our connection wasn't lost. And I sat on that bed and I rubbed her belly for like 2 hours, and I bawled like a baby, just thinking, what a great gift she just gave me. What a great moment. And just that sense of her that never ever left. And I think so many times we forget or we think that the core of the soul has left the body, and that core never leaves. You just don't know all the time in end stages when it's going to pop up. Harry?
I'd like to have Eilon's opinion on this. It's my opinion that as we advance into the later stages of our life, we lose the ability to express. That doesn't mean that we don't still have it inside us. Now, why I say that is I'm becoming a master of body language. I don't have to hear sound. I watch their eyes, maybe their hand movements and stuff like that. But I think there's a tendency for us, like when I visit nursing facilities, I love talking to people in the later stages, because I can make them laugh without saying a word. You can see the twinkle in their eyes. I'd like to hear Eilon express his thoughts on that.
Well, I will share with you, but I think that Truth raised their hand, so.
Yep. Yes, Susan and I have theorized that our body language receptors are being enhanced as our verbal language is decreasing. I mean, I'm having a hard time understanding words. Like when we go to the restaurant, I need pictures because I forget things that don't, like hash browns. There's no meat or vegetable mentioned. I don't remember what it is. And we have theorized that, yes, our verbal skills are decreasing, but at the same time, our nonverbal skills are increasing. Theorized.
No, I see that. I think in people, I think it's that. I think it's the intenseness of the connection. It's the pace has kind of slowed down, but the intensity of what you pick up when you slow down is just so huge. It's a really, really big difference. Eilon's on the move. So did you want to?
Yeah, I'm back. Well, I just wanted to bring my my brain. Well, Harry, there's just so much to say about it, but let me see what could be meaningful. I think that the person is always there, We have many examples of people at the last hour of their life, including the grandmother of my wife, who just passed away a couple months ago, and all the family were around her in Connecticut because she was dying. All the cousins and everybody were there, and it seemed as though she was already in a different place. And then when my wife approached to say goodbye, out of nowhere, Nona's, we call her Nona's, hands reached out to give her a hug. And that was a very powerful, we have many stories like that. I think the person is always there. It's about reaching out. There's a story that Naomi File, the founder of Validation Method, I think the person name was Nora, and she was in I don't like the word vegetable position. I hate that. She was in a very advanced stages of Alzheimer's disease, curled up in the bed. She was only just turned from side to side. But her childhood friend came, and she knew what was the favorite song that she loved to sing with her husband. And she kept coming, and she was massaging her. And there was no response before that for a few years. And she kept massaging her, and the human connection, as Lori just mentioned. And eventually, there was a smile, and there was some verbal expression. Judy Berry, brought at Lakeview Ranch here in Minnesota. When she was there, she brought ponies for people who work with horses throughout their lives on an hour before dying, responding to the horse with a smile. The person is always there, and the emotions are in many individuals remain much later than the ability to comprehend words perhaps, or to express verbally. But the person is always there, which is why I carved this brain hemisphere. I carved 3 others since, for one reason: the amygdala, which is located inside the brain. It's one of the most ancient part of the brain that in many individuals, not everyone, remains fairly intact much later than other abilities. So to focus on the person's underlying emotions, that's what we keep saying. And that's what I hear from you with the nonverbals and the joy in the moment, not 5 minutes before and not 5 minutes from now, but right now in the moment. And people with dementia may leave a group activity that they absolutely love, and you approach them and you ask them, so how was the activity? And they would say, what activity? But the emotion remains. They may not remember your name, but they remember familiar, friendly, as we say, right? How you made them feel. It always goes back to the emotions. So I will stop here, but I really think that we can continue and connect with the individuals in later stages despite those misconceptions out there.